to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Has everyone had a chance to review the agenda?
I got it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve and adopt the agenda. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The agenda has been approved. Presentation approval of the regular board meeting minutes of June 18th, 2025.
Madam President, I move that we approve the minutes, the regular scheduled meetings from June 5th.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the regular board meeting minutes of June 18th, 2025. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Meeting minutes for June 18th have been approved. Public forum. The Board of Education welcomes public comments during the visitors portion of the school board meeting agenda. All comments must be related to a topic on the agenda for that particular meeting. The public comment section of the agenda will be the only time the board takes any questions or comments from the public unless we as a board choose to solicit more information from the person or group attending the meeting on matters specific to the agenda. Are there any comments from the public? And move on, superintendent's report.
Yes, we've got everyone hired and in place. We're very excited. A lot of things are going on. Really, of course, the only two is our social worker, which we have contracted services for that. Still have one keep posted all year long for our high school counselor, but we've got a plan, and we've got some people that's going to help us out. It's really exciting. We've got some great things going on with that. We're just getting ready for school start, so a lot of good things are happening. And it's busy. We've been really, really busy now. I don't think people understand so much goes on before school starts. And so that's what we're doing. So we sent out trainings early for the teachers to get those done for the parent. I'd say 56% of them really coming up. So it's like exciting. We're sending out those new schedules and everybody's so everything's looking good. Exciting. Very excited to get something. I think the whole staff's really excited about something. And we will have breakfast and lunch both the first 2 days of school in food service. So y'all are not send out invitations, but August 4th and 5th, we're having breakfast from 7:45 to 8:15. The board, of course, is welcome. And we'll do lunch from 12 to 12. So we've got 2 good lunches that are being catered. So y'all are more than welcome to come to both or either, and I'll send you out a reminder.
Do you want us to come and serve?
Yes, if you can, that'd be nice.
And can you get out a notice?
Sure can.
We've got some things really set up.
Here at the cafeteria,
Yes, we're gonna do all the trainings at the cafeteria.
7:45.
7:45, yes, breakfast is starting. So, yes. Yeah, that's right.
And when's lunch?
Lunch is 12 to 12:45. And I'll send out a little reminder and an invitation to them, so y'all make sure that's what we're serving. So, thank y'all.
Thank you.
That's it. That's all I have for my report this time.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome.
And welcome. It's like the first one, right?
Yes.
Yeah, good deal. All right, cool.
That's right.
All right. Any questions? All right, board communication, information, presentation for the stifle public finance on Clayton school districts on capacity.
Madam President, for having me. I'm Nick from Steeple Public Finance. We serve as the district municipal public advisor. So I'm going to give you an update on your bonding capacity and where some of the current, I guess we'll call it PSFA, PSCSD waiver options sit right now. for more money or have a lower tax rate when you are bonding. And so that increased assessed valuation will help you, if you see on the top right-hand corner, you're allowed to bond 6% of that total assessed valuation. Now today that's about $3.6 billion, $9.3 billion of bonding capacity. And then you do have about $4.8 million outstanding, so that leaves you more or less with $4.5 million of true bonding capacity that you could issue today. If you look down at the bottom, you'll see what your bonding capacity ends up being when the calendar year ends. You do pay off pretty substantial debt over the next 2 to 3 years, and that will increase your bonding capacity as time goes on, so you can issue more debt in the future, or else your tax rate will continue to work down as time goes on. The next page takes a look at kind of all the different components of your tax rate, and there are 2 action items on your agenda later tonight related to bond and tax items. One of them is your SB 9 mill levy that you see kind of in the middle column. That's used by 95–98% of our school districts here in New Mexico as a way to fund your capital maintenance needs. The money you're getting from the state will pay for salaries and not much else. So if you do have light bulb, roof panels, things like that that need fixing, it is up to you all to try and fund locally, and most school districts will use that SB 9 mill levy. You'll notice yours does not expire until 2027, but we set tax rates in August every year for the upcoming year. So that means in August of 2027, we could potentially not be able to set the tax rate in 2028 if you were to wait until November of 2027 to go ask the voters to renew it. So that is part of why that SB 9 mill levy is on the agenda tonight, for you all to put on the ballot in November and ask voters to approve it early. It would not be an increase in the tax or a double up. It would just be putting it in place from 2028 to 2033. So that way there is no gap. A couple of years ago when New Mexico changed the election rules, and 5 or 6 years ago now when New Mexico changed the election rules to odd years, a lot of the school districts went forward with their SB 9 elections in 2021 and went with the maximum 6 years to 2027. But we now have kind of that odd cycle where most of them are going to have to go early in 2025 to have it in place. So that is the first item that does go into your total tax rate that contributes to that $7.5 total residential mill levy. If you were to not do anything with it, that would go away starting in 2028. I think it produces around $100,000 a year between the residential portion, non-residential, and then the state also gives you matching funds. So it is a pretty significant amount of money that could potentially be lost from your maintenance funds if it was not renewed. The other reason we wanted to go early in 2025 is to give you all a backup option for a special election in 2026 or early 2027 if it was not approved by the first year. So that's kind of item number 1, and then we can skip the next few pages if you want those. Just take a look at their existing debt and how it gets paid off. Page 7, so you can take a we'll look at what the current waiver options are now through the state or through the PSFA. They have changed, as I mentioned, and your school district ranking has changed as well. Right now, the state is giving out most of their waivers for schools that are ranked in the top 100. I think you guys are now at 110. So it does move you out of qualifying for that full funding waiver options. But I believe there will be a couple projects over the next 12 to 18 months, and you all could not necessarily qualify for those waivers until bonds were sold. So if there's an election in November, we sell bonds over the next, probably in May of next year that we sell bonds. If
Say that one more time, go over that part one more time.
Yeah, so, firstly, the waiver options have changed because you guys are a smaller school district, you qualify for waivers starting at $7, not $10. And you guys are already above that $7 total mill levy, so if the SB 9 was renewed and there was another bond that was issued in the next couple of years, we can use that to maintain your $7 total mill levy here. And then at some point, if the schools drop or move up in the rankings to be within that top 100, that's when the state opens up their standards-based awards, and that's when they'll give more or less the unlimited funding. Right now, the scenario is $3.5 million that you would bond for, and then if the school district, the school moves back into the top 100, you could go forward with $3.5 million, and the state would pay the rest on top.
That rate is based on need, that we talked about earlier.
Yeah, it's based off the need, your facility rankings, and the scores that you have. So I think it was ranked 89th last year, it went up to 110th this year. So it was a pretty significant change. If you guys continue to improve the school and put money into it, that will move you further up the list and away from support. If you do nothing and other schools qualify for waivers, it's likely that you'll move back to the top 100, but we can't necessarily guarantee it.
Oh, what
Is
did
it
we
the
do?
fire panels?
I
What is
know.
the fire panels?
The fire panels, those were so expensive.
Fire
Those
panels
Paid
should
for
have-
do
1,000 years of
yes.
fire
And they
panels.
told us we had to have them, it's not one of them.
And there's some arguing in, I think they call it quality of life and student needs, and that is a safety need that you have to
Right.
do arguably, and so you can have some conversations. There is a manual review process that's involved, but you still have to have bonds sold and be at that bonding capacity, to have your local share. So,
So are you saying that the taxes would not increase because of?
potentially they would not increase. The goal would be to maintain them at that. If you go back to page 3 where we show kind of the historical average. So right here, you can see you guys have historically been right around 7.3, 7.5. That $7 qualifies you for funding. We believe you can issue a $3.5 million bond, and stay at that $7.5 total mill rate.
That was a great seller.
And then I know a potential land swap is also on the agenda later. We did analyze what that would do to the assessed valuation for your school district. It would actually end up increasing the assessed valuation, which means it increases your bonding capacity. It's a negligible amount, I think $36 or $37. So increasing the amount you're allowed to bond for potentially if you're lower the tax rates. So it would not impact you guys negatively in that regard, and without again making that $7.5.
So we have to put our SB 9 on the ballot and look at it, right?
That's what we recommend is this November, so that way we can get ahead of the expiration.
Along with the bonds.
Keep it rolling.
Yes. There are two different ballot items, two different resolutions, two different action items for you as a board. It is something we're asking you to consider both of them tonight, put them on the November ballot. And then we would, superintendent and I can start conversations with PSFA about fire panels and the ranking of the middle school moving up to 110. That review process takes a while, and at least it gets it on the radar that it could be a potential project.
Do you all do any kind of informative, like, later the school district's responsible for this, but like, something we can put on a, like a mailer?
Yes, we can help with it. We can't publish it or write it, but we can put together a lot of the
I just
supporting
like your-
documents and.
I like your, like what you put on, I like your visuals.
Yeah, we can provide copies of the visuals, updated information. At the very back, on page 9, I do include a brief kind of estimated tax impact. I built it off of a 1 mil increase because it looks like there might be a potential drop. As I mentioned, you guys have had good assessed valuation growth over the past couple of years when those last bonds were sold. That was based off your old valuation. So it does look like 2026 might drop slightly below that 7.5. I think we have to get 6.8. So I did do the math on what a 1 mil increase is. I don't think realistically when you're talking to voters, that's what the impact would be. Your 2025 taxes are already set. We're going to set your 2026 rate in 3 to 4 weeks. So there's not a whole lot of change that can happen, and we still want to make sure you're collecting for the
go bond, it will be though.
But, like, how would we know, like, the tort, like, to present? You know what I'm saying?
If you look at page 7, we do model out what we think the tax rate is going to be and what the tax is going to be for the bond. And so we can figure it out now, but we don't necessarily know until we get the
Your page 9?
Page 9, yes, sir. We don't necessarily know until we get the assessed valuations. So if you guys had a 10% drop in valuation, that would significantly change the plan. But we have not actually sold those bonds, and we will not actually sell those bonds for another 9 months from now. So we will have your final 2025 values, or the chance we'll have preliminary 2026 values at that time. We'll be able to refine the plan, and if valuations have gone up, we'll, instead of $220,000 the first year, it might be $230,000. You have the ability to pay back your debt over 20 years. We have it structured at 15 years right now. So if valuation went down, we could stretch out the payment another year or two, and so we need to maintain that overall tax rate. So there's a couple different ways we can do it. We've thought about it in this initial plan, and then when we actually go to sell bonds, that's when we will find bonds. But based off of it right now, it does not look like there would be a significant tax increase when we write it at 7.5%. There's a couple other informational slides in there. If you want to get over them, I can. They're just a little more detailed on what the expected processes are and the policies of the state might review. Kind of a brief summary, but that would be not ready to be running.
Can you kind of explain me, like the 100,000 market value, like of your home, and go over that in the acreage and all that kind of stuff
Yeah.
for us?
So that is going to be, it's on page 11, on page 11, I forgot. It's got all the orange boxes on it. That'll show you what the estimated tax impact is going to be. Residents are assessed on a residential property. You pay taxes on 1/3 of your value. So if you had a taxable value of $100,000, you end up paying $33 a year on that for a 1 mil increase. And that's what the math ends up being is for a 1 mil increase, just because there could be that dip next year, we'll most likely not see it, but if there is a dip to 6.8 and you get back to the mid-7s, I wanted to give you the math. It ends up being $33 a year, $2.78 on a residential property. If you have a more expensive residential home, that's going to go up. But everybody in Mexico only pays tax on 1/3 of their total value. And then for anybody who does have ranching, agriculture, farmland, that is taxed differently. The numbers are down below. It ends up being 9 cents per quarter section. And then per 1,000 acres, I put it out because Justin, we used to take it when I was driving. It ends up being about 56 cents per 1,000 acres of the tax increase. That is if you have dry, unirrigated farmland. It does change pretty quickly, as you can see, going from 9 cents to 48 up to $1.44 if it's irrigated farmland. That 56 cents per 1,000 acres is only on the grazing dry farmland. And so you can adjust as needed. I think some large ranches are multi-classified because parts of it are irrigated, other parts are not. So we can average out blended rates, things like that on different scenarios if you want. But it should be a relatively small tax impact for a large rancher compared to a residential instead.
Yeah, I feel like when you see it like that, it's like, it's no big deal.
It's not as big a
No.
deal as people would think it
No,
for sure.
it's like pennies on the dollar for
We
a
get,
new school or a new gym or a new something else.
And then you can, like
That's how we excel.
pennies on the dollar theoretically from the residential standpoint, when they're paying $2 a month, and it can unlock pretty significant funding if you as a school district are putting forward $3.5 million and have a $40 to $50 million project that will bring the residential share down pretty significantly and get them easily, cents on the dollar.
So my question, I think, really, for you and for you, Mr. Umholtz, like, I mean, would you do it like with San Home and stuff like that? I mean, if you reach your bond capacity, say it's 3.5 million, right? We're We put all that forward towards the architect and doing all this, and then does the state, if you do become eligible, if you do hit that 100, if you hit that 100 schools thing, you're below that or whatever, then will the state take the rest of your entire project? Like, will they take a $40 million project?
Where the bond money will be used however we want it, and they pay for the whole project.
You would theoretically, you have a local match of 63%, you would put forward 63% on your planning and design on each draw or bill that comes in until you run out of money. And then when your money is exhausted, then the state would kick in the waivers and pay the rest of it. So planning and design, you would pay theoretically more than you would on construction, because your money would most likely be gone at the end of planning and design.
We pay for the.
So you pay for your architect and they pay for the construction.
You know, you pay a part of the architect, it's higher percentage.
Yeah, boy, let's go.
If it, for some reason, school rankings change, if things in place we have to apply fiscal year 27, so there's still more time. The state's open waivers twice a year right now, so that we can see if rankings change sooner than next summer. But you still qualify for that 63% match regardless, and that will get you a pretty sizable project as well to maintain facilities that all of everything changes.
So that you don't have to be in the top or the bottom, 100 to qualify for 63% match.
That's correct. So any project you do, you're eligible for that 63% match. And so if you just wanted to focus on smaller projects, you'd be able to do that no matter what. You can start those out for successful election. If you wanted to focus on the waivers in a bigger project, you would need to work with the PSA, PSCSC, and the school would have to be the top one. All about the state schools.
Did you guys bond out for your new school?
Different schools pay different amounts. Our superintendent almost gave one at San Jose. Their bond amounts were smaller, $450,000. This is you guys are $3.5 million. It all ends up being proportional to what you can afford, and then the state gets it over. So theoretically, you do contribute a little bit more than something like San Jose did, but you still qualify for the same programs.
How much was that project?
40 million.
$40 million.
You're not paying, I mean,
Pretty good return on your money.
yes, it was.
This does not do anything.
But we were, well, okay, and an example is we need to spend $500,000 on our roof this year. We need to scrub and patch it, because we put $500,000, we're getting higher up in the level. And I'm gonna show them that, like our PSFA person, so that should bring us down again, because that roof is getting, so that's what we have to show. And that's my goal, is to get us, because I can show them that we should not be outside, we should be within the 100 leading schools in this.
I don't know, I mean, just,
Just from us sweating in here.
There, that's a
Quality
big
of life
plus.
standpoint.
somebody should have told us that beforehand, but it didn't matter. You
We
had
had to have it.
Like the superintendent said, he can talk to them, try and argue it to some degree and see if it changes it.
And they know I argue, so.
This is
So
awesome.
actually,
Thank you
that's
so
my
much.
presentation, the action is later, so if you have questions on that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item B under board communication, discussion regarding the request for annexation of the district boundary by the Clayton Municipal School District for combination of the board member. And, did you contact me?
Yes, I already told her to, she should come in.
So. So Gus and I and Mr. Holmes met with, Mr. Miller and Mr. Brown and Superintendent Williams. And we did, they showed us on the map, and I tell you, it's the school district, I don't know how someone came up with that, it's like a really bad stars and surgery or something. But, anyway, if you have anything, while we're waiting for her to come on, if you'd like to talk to the board.
Oh, we appreciate that, President and members of the board, for having us and for taking this into consideration. If, with your permission, maybe we can give a little historical context to how this came about and why this request came from us and some of the implications of it, as well as kind of how we came to the process of what we're proposing to you guys tonight. We have an issue, like your board president said, with a boundary between the two districts. It's very chopped up and kind of in an odd situation north and east of Brindle. And along this boundary between our two districts, we have a number of branches that their students have attended Des Moines. They're inside the district, and we run a bus down that route and so on. Towards the end of it, the Clayton boundary cuts it off there, and then there's another residence. And in the past, 40, 50 years ago, there was issues of, they were family living on both sides of the border, and there wasn't the ability to come up with an agreement between the two districts, and so one family had to go to Clayton and one to Des Moines, and it was kind of a bad deal. You know, you guys had to send the bus out, we had to send the bus out, and it kind of took a family apart. Well, that's in the past, but we have that situation that's kind of come up again, the potential of it, and we would like to get ahead of it with this proposal. In the past, it wasn't rectified because there was various landowners involved, different landowners, and a solution wasn't going to be had. But within the last few years, our board member here, Mr. Miller, has purchased this property. And he owns it. His ranch sits right contiguous to it, inside the Des Moines district. And this piece of property bought sits in the Clayton district, right contiguous. Their family plans on family members moving into that residence that's in the Clayton district at some point in time. Whether it's Mr. Miller and his wife or their family or hired help, whatever, that are likely to have school-age children. We also have residences inside the Des Moines district that will probably be the same, with school-age children, cousins perhaps, and so on like that. If we don't have a fix to that, then we're going to get back into the same situation 50 years ago when we split a family up that would like to go to the same school and participate in the same activities. So the Miller family came to the Des Moines board and asked us to explore a permanent fix to this that we could have that would take care of this situation from now on. Fortunately, the Des Moines district has some precedent in that with the Raton district in dealing with exactly the same situation. One family lived inside the Des Moines district and a mile or so away, and the other part of their family, school-age children. And so at that time, they worked with the Raton district and did exactly what we're proposing here tonight, is a land swap. Annex that into the Des Moines district and trade the other districts and property that's of like value. And so we explored that. We've talked to our attorney. We talked to other people that were involved in those things in the past, that we've even looked at it kind of from the level of the State Department of Education, because they have to approve this. That were involved in that, superintendents that were involved in these kind of transactions, to get advice of how to go about it and how to proceed. So that's what kind of led us here today. Now, we do have a situation where Mr. Miller is a board member in Des Moines. And so there's a conflict of interest with that, like his family asking us to explore this possibility. So how we handle that on our end is Mr. Miller recuses himself from the deliberations and votes when it comes to this. And we want to state it, that's part of, we met with Mr. Wood and Ms. Lau to basically really bring that to the forefront, 100% transparency. This is going on. He is a member of the board, but we want that on top of the table. We want to state the conflict of interest and deal with that conflict of interest now. It's 100% disclosed before we move forward. So that's part of what we're here tonight. Also to disclose that to your board, as you consider that resolution, to know that there is a conflict, that we have dealt with it on our end, and as we go forward, any action that we have to take, Mr. Miller will be recusing himself from that. So where do we go from here? The The resolution that we have prepared that you guys have outlines the process. The Owens Board would approve a resolution identical to that. If you all choose to approve such a resolution, then it would go to P&E for their approval and their consideration. When we sat down to come together, and Mr. Kane kind of alluded to that a while ago, we wanted to make sure that it was fair and amicable to you all as well as the Owens district. So we spent some time going through and identifying property that we could swap with you all that doesn't affect your bonding capacity, assessed taxable value. And we came out, and I believe you said it was $38 difference or something. $30. Okay. So we did a pretty good job of getting it as close as we possibly can. The other side of that is the property that we would be swapping to you all. We have spoken to that landowner. They are not in opposition to this, so they're aware of it. The last thing we want to do is create conflict or discord with landowners, so that's part of what we went through. Is to make sure we got that willing landowners, as well as it's something that's fair to your district as well as to ours, and to kind of fix this historical situation that we've got going on here that is fixing to become a problem. As stated, Mr. Miller is on the board, and so we've dealt with that as we can on our side. We want to make sure that it's very clear that if he and his wife decide to move to this residence, if it's annexed, he would be eligible to stay on the board in the Owens. He would be eligible to run again in the future if he were to decide to do that. That's a decision that's in the future for them, of whether or not they will move there or whether or not he will choose to run. But that is the implication. And he would be able to retain his seat. He's not up for election for another 2 years, so he would be able to fill out that term should we go through with this land swap, and he decides to move there. All hypothetical at the point, but we want to be 100% open with you guys that that's a possibility, that's on the table. But we're here to answer questions, provide clarification. We want to be good neighbors in all of this and work as best we can to make sure that it's fair and that you all are satisfied with what we're proposing. So we'd stand for questions. We have Mr. Miller here and Ms. Sumter, so we do our best.
And so the land that we would swap is actually more than what we would be exchanging, right?
The total acreage is in your favor by, I'm saying, we have it wrote down here, I'll find it, but I think it's close. It's sizable, the amount of acres. The assessed value, assessed taxable value is slightly in your favor. It's not a big difference. And so the tax implication, like on that, like Mr. Kane said, would be about $57 difference.
I think I remember it was like 7,000 or something more assessed value. 7,000.
So your gain would be 3,000.
About 3,000.
You would gain 3,160 acres, and we would gain 2,840 acres, so there's roughly 800-900 acres, and about $10,000 difference, slightly less, in assessed value to your advantage.
And, we did go over that, but I was gonna say, you did talk with your law firm about this, and they're gonna be on here tonight.
I believe they are on your call there.
Is that,
Okay,
okay.
here.
So Heather is from Kevin McCarthy?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, we have Megan from OT. All right, so do we just turn it over to our attorney for the purpose of the discussion? Ms. Munoz, would you like to go first?
Sure, yeah. I was looking at the request, or our office was sent the request, and I could kind of hear the presentation, but I didn't hear all of it, so I do apologize if I have to ask for clarification on some things. So this is, although we're talking about it in terms of a property swap, because it is a change in the district boundaries, we would have to go through the annexation process to change those district boundaries. Statistics or some information around monetary value. What I didn't hear was any kind of student assessment because I'm not sure if the areas that are, sorry Steve, I'm not sure if the areas that we're talking about actually have student populations or if anybody else living on those areas.
Presently, no.
They said no.
Okay, but so they're not inhabited at all?
They're not. They're saying
Okay. Okay. So the annexation process, and I believe this was kind of touched on, would require the approval of the public education department. So the caution that I will give the board is that the moving a district boundary for students is a completely different conversation than the one that we're having, which is moving a district boundary for a board member. And I know that that has been addressed and called a conflict of interest. I will go in further that the action to move a district boundary specifically for one person so that they can remain eligible to be on a board, I think it teeters on ethical questions. And so there are huge cautions that I have for the board moving forward with this, but I'm happy to listen to the other side and get more information. I'm also happy to evaluate this information and produce a memo for the board with all of that fleshed out.
So, what, and you may not have heard this, and I'm sorry, our sound in here is not the best. So what they were saying is, the property may not be inhabited by the board member, but they just wanted to make sure that if they ever did decide to move there, that they were open about that it is owned by the board member. So it may not be that he lives there or doesn't live there. So that's what they
And
stated.
I don't think that changes the position that I'm speaking from, because the action would still be based on the board member.
Could I address, and maybe where it's a little clearer to understand, but part of what we're talking about is a historical student problem of splitting families. Now, indeed, Mr. Miller is a board member, and but it's primarily secondary to the request that we received. If students move back into this residence, which their family has planned, that's outside the district, it is a student issue, because we'll be splitting families. So our primary request deals with student issues that has everything to do with their family situations and bus transportation and all of those things. Secondary to that is whether or not Mr. Miller might move to that location. And it's possible that he does, but that's a disclosure on our part to make sure that that's out in the open. But the primary thing, and this issue predates the Millers purchasing this property. As I said, about 40 to 50 years ago, and again 30-some years ago, and again 20-some years ago, we had students that were in a conflicted situation with this very property, and the boundary being less than a mile away, and those families being split up, and one set of families having bused to one district and one to the other. So this is a historical student problem that we're trying to get ahead of, that we see is possibly coming in the next 5 to 7 years. But at the same time, disclosing the fact that if Mr. Miller should move there for a short period of time, then yes, it's part of the process.
Can I say one more thing?
Sure.
I apologize because of y'all. If this is considered a student issue, then I would also caution the board to think about the dollars attached to any students that would attend that you would be giving up with an annexation. So that is why I wanted to clarify prior to that, but that is a consideration for the board And I just wanted to mention that, but I will mute.
Thank you, Megan. Okay, Evan?
Thank you, President Leal. And I think Megan's point is well taken, that this is a consideration that we should keep our eye on and make sure is not an issue. And I think Des Moines can look at that and make sure that there isn't a ethical issue. Having the board member excused from all of the votes as well as the discussion will assist in that. And I would say that the one thing that we're proposing be done at this point is to seek the additional information that's required from PED. And during that process, I think we can also process through, I know Mr. Kane from Stiefel is also doing an analysis of how it impacts your tax dollars, what impact you're going to have because of outstanding bonds and taxing, so that you have the full picture before the board ever comes back to actually make the final decision. And I think that would require PED approval, obviously, and input along the way.
So what we have on our agenda is the resolution. So that is just the first step, right?
Yeah, that's the way I think of it. It's a resolution authorizing your superintendent to go to PED and request the information and get all of the information necessary so that you could come back later and get and make a good decision, but not making the decision tonight.
Okay. Any questions? Board members, any questions? Do you have any questions? None?
Explained it very well.
Yeah, thank you, both of you. Anything else? All right, we'll move to financial matters, consideration and approval of financial reports. We have our this person from
Mr. Hayes?
as well.
So sorry to interrupt,
That's okay.
but I think, I will wait for you and the board to make a decision on how you want, our firm to be involved, in this process. But for now, thank you, and I will log off, if that's all.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank y'all, have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
You're muted.
All right.
That's
Good
all right.
afternoon, everyone. My name's Gavin Hayes. I work with Axiom Analytics. I've known Mr. Humboldt for a few years now. I was the business manager at Doris Schools for 7.5 years. I've been doing this for almost over 10 years now. And so Mr. Humboldt had kind of talked to me about, Zach was planning on leaving, and so we kind of put in a bid. And so far, trying to get out some of the things that, because it's not, your books and everything's not perfect by any means. And so I know it also is difficult working with someone remotely. And hopefully one of these days I can go to school. I live in Bertalis. I was born and raised here. My dad's a farmer, rancher, and so that's where I live. I'm on the east side, but definitely not anywhere near Clayton. However, hopefully we can, I can be a resource to your staff, Mr. Humboldt. I know I've worked with Brad and Nick for a few years as well. Brad was I've known him for probably 10 years on the bonding stuff, so if there's anything with any of that, I would like to, if I can be a part, just if you need help or need opinions, I'm happy to give that as well. So anyways, I get present I sent Mr. Umholtz my presentation. So basically, it's kind of a little old school. This is how I used to present it at Dora. I don't know how you're used to it. If you want specific things going forward, I can always change it up. Yeah. So.
So,
I can send him a copy, and I'll send him a copy of the one that Zach used to present. This is kind of the one.
And this is just downloaded incorrectly formatted.
Okay.
So yeah, no, if we download it next time correctly in the format, it'll look better, I bet.
Yeah.
all right, so we were just talking about formatting, so,
Okay.
but we'll get.
Okay.
So I want to make it
Because he was
easy for y'all.
before Zach came, it was actually, he was the one who, when he was our business manager, he was the one who created this. And it was so user friendly, so we love
Want it
anything
easy,
that makes.
so you know where we're at at all times. We'll get the formatted stuff.
Okay. So,
Okay, I apologize. Mine's in PDF format. I actually just printed everything from Visions directly, and kind of compiled it. So I know you guys are a Google district, so that might be the issue, I'm assuming. But if there's also, if you want me to put it in a drive or something going forward, I don't know if you have like.
I think, well, so that's where we have it right now, is in our Google Drive. That's where we're looking at.
Okay.
So, but, maybe Mr. Umholtz or
I'll
Cassie
work on
can
that,
do
so we
that,
get it,
that
it's,
format.
like you said, streamlined, where it's easy. If it's the
Basically like
format.
Well, this is good, I just like
a
it's.
summary sheet.
Yeah, it's
for
all over
the-
that.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what we were talking
Okay.
about.
I like that.
But we'll get it sent to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, that would be helpful. Yeah. I just, every board likes it differently. I've had them,
I do like how
with
thorough.
several different ones over the years. What? I'm sorry.
Mr. Woods was just saying that he likes how thorough it is, so.
Okay, well, there's a lot of information, but we are required by statute to give all of this information as well. So that's part of the reason why it's all in there. So I just want to make sure that I'm sending a report that's going to, because technically this should be posted on your website as well, just for statute and just want to make sure we're in compliance. So I don't know if you have any questions or if you want me to talk about some of this.
Any questions?
Well, you said you had a few maybe concerns. Are there concerns you feel the board needs to know about?
Yeah, so mostly they're, I know whenever I look through things, things were always perfect for it, but whenever I had everything for, at Dora, I did it all. There was only, because it's a small district, I was the HR, the CPO, I did everything. And, there's a few things, I think for the most part, like your banks are pretty much reconciled. Operational fund has $168.57 variant. It's going back 2 months, I'm gonna have to go back and research that. Very minimal on the cash side, that's really good. I know my bigger concern was with your balances that were brought in, and I don't know if that's why I'm gonna meet tomorrow with my boss, and we have everything from the auditor, so that way we can book the balances correctly. I just noticed there was funds, there was like prepaids that came in that weren't posted correctly. There were several different funds that were negative that came in that shouldn't have been. And I don't know if that's just we never posted the journal entries from the auditor to clear those up, or if there's something else. And anyways, I just don't want to be completely transparent with you on whenever I'm looking through things. Those are just the issues that I see right now, is just making sure trial balance is nice and tidy, and making sure those funds, any fund that is a reimbursement fund, ties back to the actual reimbursement. And so if we bring in a balance that's negative from prior year,
and we didn't get any revenue for that, the auditor's gonna have to make a fund adjustment, we're gonna get an audit finding for it. And so, just want you to be aware. Overall, like the cash, the bank recs are fairly minimal. I don't think the cash is off, it's just more has to go with the beginning balance on the general ledger.
Yeah, I think that's some of the stuff that Zach talked about, that we were gonna have another audit finding again, because they told them about it at the end of the year, right? Is that what that
That's
was?
what we're doing, is he's talking about the auditors that were done, it hadn't been posted, we've got to clean up our accounts. So I don't think there's any, like you said, we just had some negative accounts, and it should have been negative. I'll give you an example. We spent $54,000 for a van. And we're using the cafeteria equipment, a lot of schools got that, that's good money. But you have to get approval for that, and we didn't. So that's gonna come out of operation. But the best thing about this is not, that we didn't lose it, because that money rolls for the next 3 years. So I still have that money, we have other needs that we need the money for the cafeteria and other things. So that, we had the money, to be honest, in operational at $54,000, it did not hurt us. And like that, like you said, that's a negative, because we took it out of that account, but they're not paying us back out of that. So we've got to make that move from the 27 for account back to our 11,000, which is operational. So, and I think the audit, exactly brought that up, all the things the auditor would come out, maybe they were, you go in and make these journal to clean up your books, and that's, I don't think that's been done. And that's, and I know, Zach worked on it real hard. And we got, that's exactly, we brought that up at one of the meetings. And so that's what we're talking about, getting our accounts. And I know he wants it perfect, this man, so we're making sure these accounts to the penny. Like he has $168 off in the bank account somewhere, but that can very easily be a transaction. If you're down to $168, all the cash there.
That's pretty good. Yeah, that's not bad.
It's pretty good, so, and I've been able to find $168 for us. He's going back now to find us. That's what we just really, and our books really were good, it's just getting them perfect for everything balanced, because you don't roll over the next year, and you probably need to move the money out of that's exactly what it's trying to say. So we're gonna make sure we're gonna get these books for you. And he's, and what's so good, he's teaching.
Yeah, and Mr.
He's
Well,
teaching.
I mean, the goal is to get where we're not getting an audit finding
Right.
because the fund balance doesn't roll, and that's, you know, I think, you know, whenever there's a change up, it's always, in this position, I know specifically is difficult to fill, and it's also difficult to find people with experience, and so, my goal is just to try to clean things up and kind of get a process going, at least to, yeah. So I know, like, just like the check listing, for instance, there were checks all the way back to 2022, which that will be, which I think you've actually got an audit finding for that. I don't know why they weren't cleaned up prior, but I did get all those stale dated checks cleaned up. And so every check shouldn't be over a year old, or that is an audit. So it's just things like that, making sure. So.
It's been moved and seconded to approve financial reports. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Financial reports have been approved. Consideration approval of bars and transfers.
I didn't have any bars for you. Just there wasn't anything that came in this so far.
Madam President, or you can amend it.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for, yeah, and I'll continue to stay on just because I like to know what's going on. And
Sure.
it's
Thank
helpful.
you.
That's one extra person you got watching.
I know, we're in the crowd.
Well, this is, yeah, great format too, so I mean, I understand it is difficult, the virtual thing, so, but At least I appreciate the combination, so.
No problem. Okay, moving to action item A, consideration approval of the naming of the building after Mr. Garcia. And sounded to me like what used to be his building up here, that's by the bus barn, would be the building, Andrew Person.
Maybe we should do it. Madam President, we've already done it, we've already been paying, talked to us twice.
Yes.
I definitely think we should do it. Madam President, I move that we approve the naming of the building after Mr. Garcia.
Been moved and seconded to name the building, that's what is that building now?
Maintenance building, old maintenance
Is it a-
building.
It's a maintenance office.
Yes, maintenance office.
Okay, the maintenance office.
Maintenance office, that's good, for moving it after. That's good. And I already talked with our ad program, we'll probably have that done in a few months, all the regularly, and let the family know and get those, so I brought up, we've got some plans to be ready for.
Great, awesome.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to approve the naming of the building of the Mr. Garcia. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. All opposed? Action item B, consideration approval of going out for bids on banking services. We talked about this before. Should I say this on my mind? You want
I just
to
think
hear
it's
what's on my
always
mind?
good to go out every few years for bids, just to see.
You have to, don't you? Yeah, you have, every 4 years you're supposed to.
Right, and it's just, you know, we haven't done it, even though the banks change from the top, it's the same. But, yes.
Madam President,
Yes.
I, move that we approve the one that compares to banking services.
That's it.
Right. It's been moved and seconded to go out for bids on banking services.
You're supposed to say it.
Other discussion, you want me to say it? Well, I think that we need to look at people who give to our community,
I agree.
do business with community oriented things.
True.
And so
1000%.
with that,
Oh, yes. Well, I'll take out, I'll let everybody know that please bid for it. And it's always nice to have a bank that's interstate.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had for many years, we had banks that were interstate, it's just, you know.
Well, you have to change routing numbers every, I don't even know that.
So, we can put it out there, and it's just, we wanna get what's the best for our students. And if another bank's gonna give us better interest and things like that, we're not gonna do, which is by getting the best for our students. So if there's something that wants to give us a higher interest rate, so that's why they make you go out every few years, because you try to continue to do what's best for the students of this district. So,
On our working accounts, do they gain interest? I mean, is that on like an interest account? Wonder.
there's
There
banks
are
out there
other
that will give it
possibilities
to
where
us.
we could gain more interest on certain terms.
Yes.
So,
We represent that. we put it
There's,
out.
you can always get a money market account,
that's what I was.
We do.
but there, but you currently do have.
We do have
interest,
those, yeah.
You get them, but.
Okay,
Then we'll see what rates we can get, so that's what you always got for.
great. Okay.
Do what's best for our students in the district.
Alright, so all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Alright, so we can go out for a bid, and Gowan,
Yep.
Yeah, that's correct, sorry, it's really straight.
do you help with that? Do you put together the bid, or?
Usually I can help with that. Usually I work with the
Okay.
CPO.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've got it.
I know I did bring Mr. Umholtz a name for, I know you're mostly interested in, but either, Clayton, or the Clayton, or whatever, Clovis, Citizens Bank at Clovis, basically. Or New Mexico Bank and Trust, I do have a contact with that, with either bank, but I do have a contact with New Mexico Bank and Trust that'd be interested in speaking to you as well, but.
Okay,
Great.
thank
We
you.
will get you going, so.
All right, moving to action item C, consideration approval of science textbook adoption and broad field.
Yes, that the teachers did, and especially as the 6th through 12th, elementary was like happy with their things and stuff. So we made sure, and they went to some sessions earlier in the year, I just wanted to, we was behind them making a decision. They liked, this is the one they liked, and that was, the topic was all levels. So that was very good, so we just wanted to get your approval so we can hold our textbooks.
All right. It's been moved and seconded to approve the adoption of the Broad Hill Science textbook. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. All opposed? Okay. The Broad Hill is. Action item D, consideration approval of resolution for proposed school district land swap. So we're just approving the resolution.
Madam President, I move that we approve the resolution for the proposed district management.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the resolution as well. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. All opposed? Resolution for the land swap has been approved.
Good luck.
Action item E, consideration approval of resolution proposing general obligations school bond ballot question and other matters relating thereto.
Madam President, I move that we, approve the resolution proposing general obligation school bond ballot question and other matters relating thereto.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the resolution for proposing the general obligation school bond ballot question and other matters. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Resolution for the co-bond ballot question and other matters has been approved. Action item F, consideration and approval of resolution proposing capital improvement tax ballot question and other matters.
Madam President, I move that we approve the resolution for proposing capital improvements tax ballot question and other matters. Already moved in.
And moved and seconded to approve the resolution proposing capital improvement tax ballot question and other matters. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. All opposed? Resolution for proposing capital improvement tax ballot question and other matters has been approved. Action item G, consideration and potential action of the request for annexation of the district boundary by the Clayton Municipal School District for a combination of a.
Yeah, we went to word
I don't
count.
like how that says it all. Something is just a combination of a.
I put myself in y'all's shoes. I mean, the highway runs right in the middle of our place, and that's usually the only thing that decides like district boundary or something like that either. And I do understand what Ms. Munoz had to say about that, and I understand that, but I can see that happening in any one place.
Right.
I mean, the Lake Road, Highway 56, any of those things, they usually divide all your boundaries off of stuff like that. And I can see that could be a problem for anybody. And I don't think it's really like a deal of interest to us. I mean, it doesn't. They're gonna make the call. So that's the only reason why I don't think it's like that.
Well, and I think if it shows, unity and neighbors, I think that's worth.
We'll need some. And we need you to help us out.
We could give you all kinds of advice, stories, and all kinds of stuff. You don't have enough time tonight. But we're here to help you make it good.
You do need to go out and talk to them.
Sorry?
You need to go out and talk to them.
Your community,
Yes.
promote it, huge. So make yourself.
Madam President, I move that in consideration and potential action of the request for annexation of the district boundary by the Des Moines Municipal District for accommodation of the woodland.
Been moved and seconded to consider potential action of the request for annexation of the district boundary by the Des Moines Municipal School District. Any discussion? All those in items suggested for future meetings.
We talked about everything was sources that we didn't recommend, but didn't make a decision yet. Did we find out that didn't need public board approval, or I didn't,
You don't have to
No,
check
we
it.
did do that.
Yeah.
We did put that, it was under.
I thought we already approved
We
those.
We paid it the last one.
I did see it, we looked at, okay, did the.
We did, because I sent
But
out to the
can we
state.
check on that, just to
Yeah,
be
I had to
sure?
send that to the state.
Okay,
We got, yeah, it was, I sent the minutes.
that was in May.
We already did.
I can't
Well,
get my
discussed it,
thing
we
to
did.
do anything.
I didn't know that.
Can we make sure we did?
Yes, I'll check to make sure, 'cause I know I haven't seen them papers
Okay.
yet.
Is that the meeting that we had?
we discussed it in committee and I brought it up, but I believe you need to vote on it, but I'm not.
I'll check to make sure.
I thought so too.
We did, but if we did it, let's
Yeah,
find
we'll,
out.
they put it on the next one, because we still have time.
When does that have to be put in place though? This year?
No,
Cohort 29.
it's cohort, says for cohort 29. That's right.
For the eighth graders this year.
Incoming freshmen, but they have 4 years to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
So as long as we get it done before the senior year, so they have the
Okay,
opportunity.
so this year's first.
Definitely before their senior year.
Yes, because you want to make sure they have opportunity to before.
Right.
You
Senior.
know, they'll give up some of their senior year because they take that course. So I'll make sure on that, we got that very good.
Yes.
Mr. Umholtz, are you talking to, PSFA about the whole demolition of junior high thing?
Maybe?
I just don't want that to go to the wayside,
No, no,
and we
it's
don't
not.
ever like get any money again, and you know how that goes.
They keep telling me the money's there, so we've got the money. We just, you know, we're just down, not the
So will that, what will that do to our,
That is separate. School demolition is fully funded and you are awarded, it should be set aside.
okay, so that's not gonna change our ranking?
If we have a big hole, will that bring
I
us
don't
down?
think,
If the crane swings a little wide, it might help you get it down. It shouldn't impact you guys.
I'll drive the crane.
When you-
Oh, wow.
Maybe, bring it up on Monday.
Didn't I be decided?
I ain't gonna bring that up.
Correct.
Wrecking ball, oh yeah, that's a good question.
They got the chemistry really
Pretty
good.
good. But I know our money's there, it's still there. I'll check on that.
And you guys did, we had service readings. You guys did first, second, and approval of one of them, but did y'all do first, second, and approval of the other one?
That other one should have been last minute.
So we did miss one. We missed, right? I need to double check on that, I guess is what I should say. And you're right, we haven't approved in this meeting for those specific courses. You're
We
right.
had our little meeting.
So we got
Yeah,
that on the next
you're right.
agenda.
Financial literacy and
No, the committee, met and recommended that one course be service learning, and the other course be, they can choose from a menu, do it with credit, CTE, or work-based learning.
It's a real good, okay, because I told them some other schools just they like,
Yeah.
Okay, you're right. Good job.
yeah, that's right.
but it doesn't hurt to remind. Okay. And what about that third reading of that?
Because there was two separate, right?
Yes.
And we started one a month later than the others. And I don't know. I need to double check and I'll,
The third reading should have been, I didn't see that in the minutes.
and yeah,
They
I
were,
think,
like, staggered though, I do remember. you
They
saying
were
one was, like,
staggered.
one time
But that's
you did,
okay,
and then it
that's
was-
okay. We
Okay.
didn't, we'll just,
we need to approve the policy service advisories, the second one, the second set.
didn't realize how that was. Oh, we also are hosting the fall regional meeting, so, if we could get something special for each district to take home, like our
Right.
wood shop, or our well-being, or our art, or whatever, and start thinking about,
We could cater that to,
yes, in October, right?
I think
It's
so.
all true.
Are we able to cater that?
Yes.
Yes.
Who else in that meeting? Well,
Everybody in the north is.
I mean, how far does it go? North?
Las Vegas.
Las Vegas.
Santa Rosa.
So we'll get that,
Or region.
right.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about, so last year we weren't able to have a district track meet.
We're on top of making sure all the equipment's working, and nobody contacted the schools about it.
Okay.
So yes, and our IT person is on top of it, so we'll have everything, and I'm getting some work done the next few weeks at our football stadiums, we'll have all that capability going.
Great.
We're doing it early,
Good.
so we'll have it done so we, yes.
That's embarrassing.
Yes.
It's $675,000 track and we can't have a district
We're
track.
we're on top of that. That's,
Okay.
we're fixing to have a lot of,
Cool.
this college and the company, they're gonna come out for first football game to fix our speakers, but also have all the capability of using our content.
You know, that, just reminds me because I worked with chocolate in Truckee. And the football mats and stuff have been left out. So, this man who saw him on the air of bad news, but we're in bad shape.
So we've got that on our list to get that corrected and a few other things.
Thank you for saving a couple of us.
Yes, for sure.
I
You're doing a great
jumped on
job.
that one because we want that done way over, because you don't wait till, you know.
I appreciate it.
Registration,
We're working on registration, and we're doing it that week.
Registration, I don't know when the principals are planning registration.
Plus, they spoke with announcement today.
That's not for registration, that's just to get the high school kids' classes picked out.
Yeah, that's right. But, we're having our meeting in the morning, so we'll have it all posted for everybody.
oh, wait a minute, supposed to have the classes.
Just to choose their classes because they didn't do that.
They didn't
for
choose
the
that elective.
Exactly.
They didn't choose their electives, which was,
Because I can choose their core classes for them, but I can't pick their electives
we
for
know they
them.
have to take the core classes, they
Yeah.
have to, but we should get a chance to pick up
And they can pick dual credit or we, okay.
all kinds of years. We want their input, so we're gonna get that, that's why they're putting out the window.
Yeah.
So we'll get that done.
Perfect, perfect. And it'll be on Facebook.
And we're gonna put it out there, yes.
Okay.
And the kids are already talking about it, so that's good.
Great job getting those school supply lists out early.
They like, I got quite a few phone calls, like, thank you, that was nice, yes, that was nice. You try to get those out before you open.
I want to give a shout out to the coaches for opening the gym, opening the weight room, opening everything, giving our kids.
Our facilities were open a lot, so
There
that's
hasn't
good.
been
And
any.
how was it?
And bringing all these people that have come into these
And
camps, that has been
basketball, Clayton youth basketball, for bringing in that, and it's free to our Clayton students, so that's
we want
awesome.
that to keep rolling year to year, because
Yeah.
that's, we got the ball rolling, that was very, I only got no twice, but how many kids showed up for that, and the quality of that, that was impressive.
But I, for once, like, I feel like every sport has
Representation.
And kids, when it start,
And that's a start, so that's very good.
There's really like no excuse for something. They have the gyms open, playgrounds open. Yeah, that's unbelievable to donate all your time. I mean, as a coach, like you can't go anywhere to do that when you're doing that flexibility. You know?
It's been a good
Big
summer,
thing.
it's been a good summer, and met with kids.
Alright,
Madam President, I move that we go to the session.
it's been moved and seconded to adjourn the meeting. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Meeting is adjourned.
Thank y'all for coming and sweating with us.
Thanks, everyone. Nice meeting you.
Thank you, Harry, man. Thanks for coming, really.
Thank you, thank you.
I'll follow up with the superintendent on some language for flyers and things like that. You can leave them in the gas station, so we'll get it to him.